This is our dental class today, and our theme for the week is taking two of the resources that we looked at last week. So the resources being those things that we can call upon that are with us all the time when we feel stressed or we feel a bit anxious, when we need to settle our nervous system. So those are resources. So um, call them first aid, our first aid kit for mental health. And two of the resources that we looked at last week are the idea of grounding and the idea of tuning into your felt sense. So what your body feels like or sensations in your body. So the idea of grounding when we start to spin out, what I like to call it, or we start to get anxious or get up in our heads, there's this feeling of energy kind of going up, and there's almost a spiral feel to it for me, like I'm spinning out. And when we focus on the ground and what's attached to the ground, tend to focus on the exhalation and a sense of being connected to the earth. And our bodies are made of the exact same stuff as the earth, and they resonate at the exact same frequency as the earth. So when we get spun out up here or spend too much time around computers or sitting, slouching, not a lot of energy, and we're not outside, we start to feel a drain. And sometimes just going outside, it's like plugging in to the natural energy booster of the earth. And so we resonate with the earth. You can measure the frequency. And when we are in tune with that frequency, whether it's visualization or actually being out in the world, out on the earth, it tends to settle our nervous system. And then feeling into our body, so touching into what it feels like to be you, feeling the felt sense of what's going on and sensation in your body, around your body at any given moment, brings us into the present moment, right? So we can't feel our body the way it felt yesterday. We can only remember how it felt yesterday. We can only feel it as it's feeling now. So before we start, I want to say that felt sense can be a little bit slippery, a bit tricky. For some people, there's not a lot of sensation in the body. Especially if you've been dealing with chronic pain and you've kind of shut yourself down a little bit from sensation, which is totally understandable. So you may not feel a lot. Don't be alarmed. Don't think you're doing anything wrong. And sometimes if you experience numbness or lack of sensation, you might just notice that. Right? Just notice the numbness, notice the lack of sensation, which is also a kind of sensation. So we're going to start lying down today, so you can get yourself comfortable. The only thing actually before you lie down that I might suggest is you may need to or want to have a chair handy if you don't have one, or be near a wall for some balancing work that we're doing today. So if you need to get that sorted out, go for that. And otherwise you can lie down on your back and get comfortable, and we'll start there. So once you come to lie down, my suggestion is to really tune into what is comfortable for you. So is it more comfortable for you to have your legs bent or to have your legs stretched out? And for me in general, it's more comfortable to have my knees bent. Both are fine, but I find a little more comfortable with knees bent. And that's because it flattens out my lower back a little bit. When I straighten my legs, the pelvis tilts a bit, and I find my lower back doesn't feel as comfortable. So you can try both, see what feels better for you. And then you can check in with your hands. So does it feel more comfortable to let your hands rest on your body? Or does it feel more comfortable to let your hands rest on the ground? And if your hands are resting on the ground, is it more comfortable to have your palms turned up? Or is it more comfortable to have your palms turned down? And in some cases, there may not be a difference. It might be just as comfortable or just as uncomfortable either way. And so the idea is to find what gives you the most comfort in this moment. And if it's not something that I've suggested, please follow your own guidance. And so maybe you want to let your knees drape over a bolster or a cushion, Or bring your lower legs onto a chair, perhaps, if that makes your lower back happy. Check in that you're warm enough. You can always cover with a blanket. We'll be staying down here for a couple of minutes. So really, the invitation is to get comfortable. Have what you need to be comfortable. And then once you're there, you feel at ease. Start to be aware of the back of your body and where it makes contact with the ground. Feel that pressure. And if there's any uncomfortable pressure, you might introduce perhaps a pillow or some padding under your head or wherever you might need it. And the idea here is not that you're sleeping comfortable, but that you're alert comfortable. You're awake, alert, tuned in, and comfortable. As comfortable as possible. Feeling the ground beneath you now. Letting your body soften and relax into that support. So feel that you can just really let go. The ground is supporting you. There's no need to do anything here. Can you feel the ground beneath you? Can you feel the pressure against your body? So tune into that as a kind of felt sense. Noticing that pressure underneath you. So one way that the body can be a resource is to find a place in your body that feels good. So whenever you need to come back to a place that feels good, there's always somewhere in your body. So if in this moment you can find a place in your body that feels good, let your attention go there. So you might find lots of places in your body that don't feel good, and you can certainly notice those. But just scan in your body and notice, what part of my body feels comfortable right now? What part of my body feels really good right now? Maybe even a little better than other parts. Is there something that stands out as feeling more comfortable, more good? And if not, maybe just choose a place that feels good in this moment, or at least neutral. Maybe the best that you can hope for today is a place in your body that isn't painful. And when you find that good place, if you find that good place, let your attention rest there. And if not, keep scanning. Maybe it's just your baby toe. It doesn't have to be a big place. Just notice what feels good. And know that you can always return your attention to this place in your body. Anytime you might feel overwhelmed or feel pain or discomfort somewhere, certainly not as a way of ignoring it, but as a way of letting your attention be balanced, right? So we're not just focusing on what isn't working. So take a couple of deep breaths now to signify transitioning into some movement out of our stillness and checking in into some movements, a couple of deep breaths, and then taking the arms out to the side, stretching out through the fingertips. If your legs have been bent, you might want to stretch your legs out. And if it's comfortable for your shoulders, you can take your arms up over your head and stretch. And then Gradually bringing the arms back down to your sides and bringing your feet to the floor, bending your knees. So this time you will want to have your knees bent. And probably, as long as it's not uncomfortable for you, bringing the hands somewhere onto the belly so you can feel your breath. So it might be rib cage, might be belly. And so now the invitation is to simply feel the breath for a moment and relax your arms, hands, and shoulders. So if your hands are on your body, just letting them be heavy. Letting your breath move into the pressure of your hands. And as you exhale, feel your belly, chest move back toward the ground. And at the same time, you can put a little pressure in your feet. So your lower back flattens and there's a little dropping down further in the belly. And then relax as you inhale. Let the belly expand. And as you exhale, press down into your feet. The lower back flattens. The tailbone will curl up away from the ground a little bit. And then it'll drop back down as you breathe in. And if it feels good for your back, so if it's uncomfortable for your back, just really very, very subtle movement here, maybe even just breathing. If it feels good for your back, you can exaggerate that rocking movement a little bit. So it's tilting the pelvis, tailbone moving down and away towards the ground as you inhale, tailbone moving up toward the ceiling, lower back down as you exhale. Or, just breathe, just do the movement or coordinate them together if that makes sense in your body. Let the breath go at your own pace. Stay tuned into what you notice. If something doesn't feel good, please modify or stop doing it. And maybe even bring your attention back to what felt good in your body a moment ago. Right, and then let's relax that movement and release the hands away from the body. And now letting the arms come a little bit away from the body, maybe, actually let's bring them down. Let's bring them down at first. So palms down right beside your body, and we'll work with the arms a little bit first. So you can reach the arms straight up overhead. As you do this, notice how your spine changes shape. And then bringing the arms back down, and notice again how the spine changes shape. So your hands might touch the ground behind you, they might not. That's not the important part, just lifting until your shoulders say that's enough, and then coming back. So for you, it might be only part way through that movement. You might need to bend your elbows, whatever works. Okay, and next time the arms come down, let's pause there. And now bring the feet in close to the hips. So underneath the knees, near the sit bones. Now the arms can rest on the ground a little bit away from you, leaving space along the sides of your body. Shoulders completely relaxed, arms and hands relaxed. Let's come back to that little exhale movement where we press down into the feet. Exhale, tailbone starts to lift. And then just let your breath be normal now as you start to pick your spine up slowly off the mat. Now I want to say, if you have any issues with your spine, you're just going to lift and lower without rounding your back. So if you have herniated discs or issues with your discs or osteoporosis of the spine, you want to be a little more careful with this movement. Maybe just lifting and lowering the hips rather than rolling the whole spine up and putting pressure on the vertebrae one by one. And also pain, right? If this is uncomfortable on your back, don't do it. You're just going to lift hips, lower hips. So you can lift up, slowly rolling up if you're rolling, slowly rolling down, or if you're lifting straight up, it's just a matter of the hips coming up as much as you feel good with, and then back down again. So maybe one more, and this time when you come to the apex or the top of the pose, if it feels comfortable for you, you can stay. And here when you're staying, you're focusing on shoulders, arms, hands, neck, and face, all staying relaxed, jaw relaxed. Your legs are working, hips, thighs, knees, calves. So see if you can feel how your lower body is working. Your feet are grounded. If you need to come down, please do. So don't hold the pose if you're straining. Your upper body can relax a little bit more. Arms, shoulders, releasing. Right, if you're still up in the pose with me, slowly release and come on down. And then you can bring your knees up in towards your body. Hugging your knees with one hand on each knee. Maybe a little side to side movement, massaging the lower back. And you can experiment with how close your knees are to your body to move the massage around on your lower back. So with my knees in close or with my knees out a little further, it's going to put pressure on different parts of my back. So see if you can find that same kind of noticing as your knees come in. Where do you feel that movement? And if it doesn't feel good to rock, you might just go forward and back and feel the shift of movement in that exercise. So either way, really it's paying attention to the massage potential on our lower backs as we move the knees around. So maybe for you, circling would feel good, perhaps with the legs together, or you might even enjoy taking the legs in separate circles. And again, we're getting a little bit of movement for the hips here, but the main thing is noticing and feeling that connection with the earth, that groundedness. And really tuning into the felt sense. What do you feel? What do you notice? How does the weight shift? Give your mind something to connect with here. Good. And then let's release the feet back to the ground if you haven't already. Right? And everything I say is a suggestion. So if your body has a different suggestion that would feel better, please, please, please honor the guidance of your body, especially, in these online classes where I can't see and offer you advice or suggestions. I have to really trust, and you have to trust yourself to not push and not, when in doubt, less is more. So now knees bent, feet on the floor, arms to the sides. And again, we're going to shift the weight by taking the knees a few inches one way and then a few inches the other way. So rocking along the sacrum. So the sacrum is this flat area at the back of your pelvis. It's about the size of your palm. So it's not a big movement side to side. You'll feel, and you may even feel the ridge in the middle, sort of across the top and the middle of your sacrum, and you kind of rock across that. If your floor is too hard or your sacrum isn't padded enough, having a blanket or an extra bit of padding under can be helpful. Right? From here, if it's comfortable for you and it feels good, you can let the knees go down toward the ground. Could be halfway, could be the whole way, or anywhere sort of in between. So letting the knees go toward the ground, back to the center. Really encourage you to move slowly. Notice, when do I start to feel the stretch? Don't worry about your breath, just breathe normally. As you come back to center, when do I stop feeling the stretch? As I go the other way, where does it turn on? And there's no right or wrong. This is all just about tuning in, being present, and really getting to know ourselves a little bit better. Right, if it's still feeling good to you, maybe one more. If you've already come back to center and finished twisting, and stay there and Start to make your way back if you haven't already. So from here, again, we'll bring both knees in towards the body. And we'll bring one hand to each knee, and this time we'll move the knees away from the body, keeping the fingers hooked over the knees, and then knees in toward the body. Move at whatever pace is comfortable for you. If you want now, you could coordinate the breath here. So exhaling as you draw the knees in, and inhaling as you move the knees away. All right, let's keep one knee in towards the body and release the other foot to the floor. We're going to work with this leg. And the idea of feeling, excuse me, the stretch between your knee and your hip. So as we start to straighten the leg, and you can hold on or not, it doesn't matter. As you start to straighten the leg, at some point you'll feel a bit of stretch, most likely in this area between the hip and the knee. As soon as you feel the beginning of that stretch, you're going to release and bend the knee. And then you'll straighten again until you feel the beginning of that stretch. And if it feels good to you, you can go 1% more and then release. And you'll keep doing the same thing. Go to the beginning of the stretch and then add a few more percent. So maybe 5%, release. And by percent, I mean sort of a sensation. So let that stretch be 5% more intense before you release. And this is totally subjective, right? You decide what is 5%. A little bit more, release. And then finding a place that's somewhere in the mid range of where you believe a full stretch might be versus no sensation at all. So get somewhere in the middle there. If you like, you can bring your hands behind your thigh and do a little massage here, just using your fingertips. Okay. And then you can, again, either hold on or not, whatever works for you. Circle the ankle around. And now tune into where you feel the stretch moving around as you circle your ankle. So I feel it all up the side of my shin, into my calf, back of my knee at certain times. So see what you're aware of. And again, if you don't feel much or you don't feel anything, don't be alarmed. Don't think you're doing anything wrong. Just notice what you do notice. And really tune in to each moment. So you can relax your foot now, give that leg a little shake. All right, let's bring the knee back in, release the foot to the floor. So take a moment, take a couple of breaths, let go of the effort on that side. You might tune into sensation, whatever you might feel in that leg now after stretching it out. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the other leg in. So same thing here, you can hold on or not, doesn't matter. We're going to move the leg until you feel the first little twinge of stretch, and then you're going to release. And then again, +1 and release. And keep adding in little tiny increments, going a little bit deeper towards that stretch, noticing all of the sensations as you go. Good, and then you can find that mid place. So sometimes going past sort of what feels comfortable very slowly and then backing off of it will tell you where that sort of mid place is, where you're comfortable, you're kind of near the edge of where it would be less comfortable, right? But not so much that you're forcing. So find that, really call it the Goldilocks place. Not too much, not too little, just right. That mid stretch. And then from there, try circling the ankle, noticing all the sensations that are present as you go. So one way, maybe the other. Okay. And then relax your foot. Give the whole leg a little shake. And release to bring your foot back to the ground. Again, notice for a moment. If you like, you can stretch your legs out. For this noticing, we'll take about a minute rest to tune in again. So it could be knees bent. If your knees are bent, you could take them, your feet apart, let your knees fall together. You can straighten your legs. And notice, what are you aware of in your legs? What do you feel? What do you notice? What sensations are present? And if you really feel nothing or not much at all, notice that. That's legitimate. Great, and maybe one nice big breath to transition again. So legs can be bent or straight for this one. You're going to stretch the arms up toward the ceiling. Bend the elbows, bring your hands to opposite elbows. So now you've got a little shape of a square over your chest. And as you move that square to the side, it becomes sort of like a diamond. You can let your head follow, come back to the square, and then take it to the other side. Back to center. And feel how your upper body now rolls against the ground. The back of your head rolling, the weight shifting from one shoulder to the other. Maybe a sense of a bit of stretch in the neck or the shoulder, wherever you feel it, the torso, rib cage. So a few more, as long as you're comfortable here with that awareness of how your body relates to the earth or the ground that you're on as you move. Okay, and let's come back to the center. Stretch your arms out wide to the sides and reach out through your fingertips and grow your arms long. Feel as though you're extending from the center of your heart out through your fingertips. Growing extra long through the arms. And then slowly, as long as it's comfortable for you, slowly lift the arms towards each other. You'll feel your arms working a little bit against gravity. Bring your hands together, interlace your fingers. If it's comfortable for your wrists, turn your palms to the ceiling and stretch the hands and wrists a little bit here. If that's not comfortable for your wrists, you can go back to circles or just holding the hands clenched with the fingers toward the ceiling. Great, release, give them a shake. Okay, and letting the arms come down. So let the arms rest on the ground now. We'll take about another minute to tune in and notice. So feel your arms, your hands. Notice the sensations that are present, that felt sense. Elbows. And there may be areas where there's more sensation. In fact, there will very likely be areas of more sensation and areas of less sensation. Upper arms, shoulders. Feel the weight across the shoulders and the back of the head. And for about 3 or 4 more breaths, let your body soften and sink down each exhalation. Right, and then we're going to change positions. So we've been lying down for a while, so really take your time. You can roll over onto your side. Use your opposite hand to help support you as you come upright. So just take your time coming to a seated position first. We'll come over onto all fours, do a little bit of movement there just to get the body moving away from the ground a bit. And then we'll come to stand. So hands and knees just for a moment to work with some circles for the hips. So going towards the heels, one side and the other. Make sure you've got enough padding under your knees and that your wrists are comfortable. If it feels better for you, you might just go forward and back with cat-cow or all fours to child's pose. So arching on an inhale, rounding, and maybe child's pose on the exhale. And you can alternate and you can play around. So find where in your body would appreciate some movement. So side to side, circling around. It's really tuning in. And as you do, as you tune in and honor your body, notice, what do you feel? Right, so sometimes I don't know what my body needs until I start moving it. And then I say, oh yeah, that feels good. So move your body in different ways. Explore a little and see what makes you go, ah, that feels good. So we're going to start to make our way to a standing forward bend from all fours. And there are a number of ways that you can get there. You can tuck your toes under and come to a squat. You can also step one foot forward. You can walk forward from downward dog. So I invite you to find your way to a standing forward bend, however that is for you. And then you'll bring your elbows up onto your thighs. You can hold your upper arms with opposite hands if you like. And then as long as it's comfortable for your head and you don't have any issues with high blood pressure or dizziness, you can let your head relax down toward the ground for a couple of breaths. So feel your breath expand in the back of your body here. Keep your knees quite bent so you've got a good shelf to rest your elbows on. If that's too low for you, hands on the knees is another option as well. Right. And then from here, if you've got your elbows on your knees, bring your hands to your knees. And we want to duplicate that cow of the cat-cow. So arching the back, so knees need to be bent here. The hamstrings aren't going to be too happy. A little arch in the back. And then you're going to, from here, come upright. So you're keeping that arch. You're lifting the arms up over your head. And then releasing. So now we're in a pose called mountain pose. Feet are hip distance apart and the heels come in underneath the hips. And in mountain pose, in general, you want your weight to be slightly back into your heels. So roughly 60-40, I don't know why I'm going with all the numbers and percentages today, but just a little more. So if your weight is even between your front, the balls of your feet and the heels, just add, just a touch more to your heels. And when you do that, you'll know because your kneecaps will kind of engage and pull up as your thighs engage and pull up. And you can try rocking back and you'll feel your thighs pull up a little bit. And as you rock forward, your thighs tend to relax and drop down. So we're not looking for clenched, rock hard iron thighs here, but a sense of being engaged. Right? The other thing that happens when we rock forward, and if you happen to be looking at the screen, if I stand sideways, you might see this. I'm sure I've explained this before, but as we go forward, the hips, to keep balance, the shoulders stay over the legs, but the hips come forward and we end up with a sway back. So as we rock back, we bring the spine into its natural position. The shoulders, hips line up over the ankles, not just the shoulders over the ankles. Right? So we want to have that really nice upright posture, and that often means the thighs are a bit engaged and your lower belly might be slightly engaged. You don't want to clench but you want to feel that you've got integrity, right? You're not slumping and slouching here. And so finding that balance a little bit into the heels, shoulders down. Good. So we've talked about the thighs drawing up, right? The shoulders draw slightly open and down. And it's as if energy is lifting us in the front. And then that same energy cascades over the head, down the back, and into the earth. So feel your heels in the back of your body go down. And this feeling of lifting, lightening, opening in the front of your body, and energy going down the back of your body. So see if you can just feel that energetic lift in the front, and a softening and dropping and grounding into the earth through the back of your body, right down your back, into your heels, into the earth. Good. You can keep your eyes open or closed. Open is good for balance. If your eyes are open, you're softly looking in one spot, but aware of the periphery around you at the same time. Great, now let's bend and straighten the legs. So standing sometimes for periods of time, the knees tend to lock, and then the ankles, hips, and knees all get a bit of tension. So when we bend the knees, we're actually bending the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So we're getting flexion in all three of those joints. So this is something I like to do when I find myself having to stand somewhere for a period of time, maybe in line or something like that. And I'll just flex and straighten my legs just to release all three of those joints. Simple, but really effective. And then let's do a few circles for the hips. So taking the feet apart, soft knees, which is also again flexing the ankles and the hips. So we've got that really nice easeful stance. You can bring your hands to your hips and start with really little circles. Try to find the smallest circle where there's almost no movement, and then gradually make those circles a little bit bigger. And as you do, it's very likely that the sensations that you experience in your hips will change as the circle grows. So see if you can notice that shift. Notice the sensations. We're all about paying attention, noticing today. Good, you can switch directions, see what changes for you as you do that. Beautiful. Eventually coming back to the center and releasing your hands. You'll bring the feet back in underneath the hips, underneath the shoulders. Weight slightly into the heels, feeling your thighs pull up, and that energetic lift in the front of the body, dropping down into your heels, all the way down the back of your body. So reconnect with that feeling as much as you're able. So we're going to work a little bit with balance right now, but I'm going to encourage you at this point to not use any aids for your balance. So don't use the wall or if you have a chair handy, but instead modify the pose so that you can be balanced in the pose, right? So right now, I'm guessing that on standing on 2 feet that you all feel well balanced, right? So how much can you lift one foot without losing your balance? So maybe it's just shifting the weight so that one foot feels like it's got more weight on it. And I might get wobbly there, or I might be okay. Might be lifting the heel. And again, you might get wobbly. You can try this with me. So each step, right? So shifting the weight, lifting the heel, maybe lifting the ball of your foot, just coming right to the tips of your toes. Do you get wobbly there? What happens when you lift your toes? Does it get more wobbly? Can you use your toes to support you and then lift again, right? So what is the way that you can find to be balanced here? Maybe you can lift the leg right up. Maybe you can squeeze it right in, and that's no problem for you, right? But maybe not. So finding for you, where is your threshold? Coming back to both feet, we'll try the other side. So first try just shifting the weight. And then try lifting your heel. And then lifting up onto the tops of your toes, so lifting the ball of your foot. And then try lifting the toes just off the ground, right? And the ground is there if you need it. And then maybe if it's available to you, you can lift a little higher. You can bring the knee up any amount. So good. And then just bring it down, give it a shake. So as we go into our next posture, you can use that guide to let you know where your balance threshold is today. So if you started losing your balance when you lifted your foot, keep your toes or the ball of your foot down. If you lost balance just shifting your weight, then you might just play with that a little bit. All right, so we're going to take the arms and lift them overhead. And as you bring them down, you're going to lift one knee in whichever way works for you, right? And then coming down. So again, it could be just bending the knee, keeping the foot on the floor, touching the thigh. So the foot comes down, arms go up, lifting and lowering, right? Any amount. So if you're someone who feels really comfortable bringing the knee right up, great. If you feel more comfortable keeping your toes on the ground, fabulous. Right, so next time round, wherever you're at, when you lift the leg or lift the heel, you're going to stay there. So you can hold the leg if you're lifting it. You can hold around the knee. You can touch the thigh. It doesn't matter. And then whichever leg is lifted, you're going to keep sorry, I'm losing my thoughts here. You're going to keep that hand on the leg. You're going to bring the other hand to your hip. Right? So if your knee is up, you can hold your knee here. And then wherever you are, we're going to take this leg to the side. So it's either here or here. Right? And then bring it back to center. Bring both hands to your hips. Give the leg a shake. And bring it down. Back to mountain pose. Feel the lift through the thighs as you sink back into your heels. That energy lifting up the body, down the back of the body, sinking into your heels, finding your grounding right here in this moment. Nice breath, releasing. You can bend and straighten again to release the hips, knees, and ankles. Okay, and then we'll lift the arms up, breathing in. We'll shift the weight to the other side this time, bringing the opposite knee up. And then whichever leg is up, that hand stays on the knee, other hand to the hip. Again, anywhere where you're comfortable here, taking it out to the side. Bringing it back in. Both hands to your hips, give it a shake. And release. Good. And you can give both legs and arms a little shake. Just releasing any tension that inadvertently may have come into your body with the effort of working with the balance. All right, so let's take the feet a little wider again, and now we'll work with the shoulders. So rotating the shoulders, so bend the knees, and we're going to bend right down and scoop the shoulders forward. And as we stand up, roll them back and down. So scooping forward, rounding, lifting, rolling back and down. Good, maybe one more. Great, and give a little shake. Lovely. All right, so we're going to add on a little bit to keep working with this idea of lifting one leg and adding on to that. So same rule applies. So you can either lift right up or just come onto your toes as we move into this next little piece. So here you want to make sure you have some room behind you. So if you're on a mat, come sort of at least halfway up your mat. And if you're on the ground, just make sure there's nothing you're going to step on behind you. So again, notice, am I shifting my weight forward and collapsing my lower back? Or is my weight in my heels and my body lined up, shoulders, hips, heels, and head, right? So we want the head in that line as well. Right. So from here, let's lift the arms, taking a breath in. And as you exhale, lifting one knee, right? Whatever way works for you. And then instead of bringing it back down, we're going to step back with that leg, come into warrior one. So your back foot turns out as it comes to the ground. Front knee is bent, and we'll come forward. So you can bring your hands to your thigh, to your shin, to the ground, or blocks if you have them. And then lift up. We're coming up and coming forward. Press into your back heel and make that leg super strong, like you're trying to drive your back heel into the ground. So coming up, you can breathe in as you come up and exhale as you go forward. If you want to coordinate your breath, otherwise just breathe normally. All right, this time as you go forward, if it feels good for you, stay for a few breaths. So you can either keep your hands on your thigh or slide down. And if you happen to have a chair handy, you could also do this by bringing your hands to the chair in front of you. When you're ready to come up, you're going to press into both feet, especially digging that back heel down, lifting all the way up. Great. Let's release the arms down. We're going to shift the weight onto the front foot. If it's possible, bring that knee up in front before releasing it down. Right? If you lose your balance partway through, you'll just come back to stand. Good. So back to mountain pose. Check in. Hips back over the heels, shoulders over the hips. Head over the shoulders. Breathing in, lifting the arms. Shifting the weight to the other side now, bringing that knee up. And then stepping back. So you're going to bend your front knee as you step back, taking the back foot so it's turned out to the side, and really reaching down with that back heel. So firm that leg, feel it strong, and then we'll move forward. So exhaling, hands to the knee, shin, or ground. And then inhaling, coming up. This is if you're coordinating your breath. If you prefer to move and breathe freely, take that option, absolutely. If it feels good, you can stay for a few breaths. Again, finding the position that's most comfortable for you. And pressing into that back heel to lift all the way back up again. Let's lower the arms. That's going to help with the balance so there's not too much flying around as we step forward. You can even take the arms to the sides if that helps. You'll bring the knee through, touch the knee, and release. Great. Good. So one more here. I think we'll do one more here, and we'll add another little bit of a challenge to this movement, and it's all optional, of course. So we're going to go back to the first side, breathing in and lifting up. Then as you exhale, bringing the knee in. Step back, warrior one. Right? So you want to really feel grounded and rooted through both feet. And then we'll take the arms to the sides. We're going to shift onto the front foot and start to lift the back heel. Shift even more onto the front foot till just your toes are on the ground. And this might be where you stay, right? This might be enough balance work for you. If you've got a wall handy, you might use it. And if you feel more confident in your balance and you want to lift that leg, you can lift it up, keep lifting your chest. Good. Great, and then let's step back, warrior one, lift the arms. Good, release the arms. Step onto the front foot, bring that knee in up any amount and release. Great, so we'll try the other side. So heels go down, body centers over the heels, energy comes up the front of the body, drops down the back of the body into the earth. Next time that wave is coming up the front of your body, lift the arms, following that wave, catching that wave. Good. Exhale, bring the knee in, the other knee now. And then stepping back, warrior one. So from warrior one, you can bring the arms down to the sides. Shifting your weight so you'll lift the back heel. If you still feel confident and you want to work on balance a little more, shift your weight forward a bit more, come onto the toes of your back foot. And if you're here and confident, feeling good and want to go to the next step, lift the foot, then lift the heart at the same time. So if you want to lift the leg higher, you can let the upper body go more forward to accommodate that. When you're ready, you'll step back, if you haven't already. Back to warrior one, we'll lower the arms. Again, shift to your front foot, bring the back foot through, lift any amount, and release. Good, back to mountain pose. So feel your heels go down, that energy cascading down the back of the body, down the legs, down through the heels into the earth. And as you breathe in, catching the wave of energy, lifting the eyes, lifting the heart, and then the shoulders drop down, roots go down. Great, next time that wave is coming up your body, let it lift your arms with the breath in. And then exhale, bend your knees, come forward any amount into a nice easy forward bend. And then inhale, lift all the way up. Good, find that lift in the heart. Exhale, bend your knees, come forward. Go at your own pace now, and if you want to drop coordinating the breath, please do if that feels better for you, just to breathe and move freely. There's lots of lovely flow in that, as well as the sort of focus that comes with when we bring the breath and the movement together. There's a lot of focus. When we let go of that, we might find a little more flow. So one isn't better than the other, it's different. You can stay in the forward bend if you like. You could go back to elbows or hands on the thighs, or if it feels good, bend your knees a lot, let your body hang forward. You can dangle the arms or hold your opposite elbows. And we'll make our way back to the ground similar to how we got up. So you could go back to a squat or walk one knee back, finding your way back onto hands and knees. And then again, you can choose any movement. If you like the cat-cow, you might choose that. Inhaling and arching, exhaling and rounding, or it could be as anything we did earlier, circling or wagging your tail or whatever movement feels good. So spending a moment here, if you want to come into child's pose and then back to all fours, that's another option. And then if child's pose is comfortable for you, we'll come and spend a few breaths in child's pose. If not, you can just go onto your back. We're all going to go there in a moment, so you might just go there a little sooner. And you can do child's pose either with knees together or knees apart. Hips back toward the heels, head coming toward the ground or onto your hands. And tuning into your breath again, feeling your body, feeling the ground beneath you, softening and dropping into the support of the ground here. Well, I know some of you are likely very comfortable in child's pose. Maybe for others, it's not as comfortable, or it's comfortable for a while and then it's not. So listen to your body. So we've been really, really focused on what brings you most comfort today, right? What's comfortable for your body, what feels good, and really tuning in. So now tuning in again. And if it's time to leave child's pose or you've already listened to your body, wonderful. You can come out of this pose at any time. If you're one of those people who loves child's pose, stay a little longer. And whenever you're ready, you'll come onto your back. So take your time. There's no rush. We're not going anywhere in a hurry here. So wherever you are, coming back to your breath. Coming back to a focus on softening with your exhalation and dropping into the earth, letting go. And if you happen to still be in child's pose, you might start to think about coming over onto your back. And if you're already on your back and you're starting to settle, you might just check in if there's any movement that your body would like to do. If there's any props you might want to get, like if you want a blanket or a pillow for Shavasana, you can start to prepare to come into relaxation, making sure you have what you need. So if you need to move a little, if you need to get anything, if you need to shift positions, take a minute or two to get yourselves organized. And if you prefer to sit for Shavasana, that's always an option, not usually a very popular one, but you can always come to sit. I like to end my practices sitting if I know I'm going to be doing something that requires me to be alert afterwards. And otherwise, I like to be lying down and relax at the end of my practices. So, it depends on how you're feeling, what's coming next, what your body feels good with, what's more comfortable, all of that. And finding your way to whatever works for you. And as you start to settle, I invite you to come back to the theme, one of the themes that we've been working with today, which is grounding. So feeling your body where it makes contact with the ground. And seeing if you can more deeply settle into that contact. Can you melt the points of contact a little more so you feel like your body is spreading and sinking and softening, almost like it's melting? Relax your jaw. Let the surfaces of your teeth move away from one another as you relax the jaw even more. Relax all the muscles of your face, around your mouth, around your cheekbones, your eyes, across your forehead. And relax the weight of your head into the ground. Let it go. Let your shoulders go so your arms and hands follow and release. Release and relax around your rib cage. And then down into the belly and the lower back. Relaxing your hips and pelvis. And dropping through the thighs, the knees, calves. Dropping through the feet, whatever part of your feet happens to be on the ground. Let your feet relax, your toes relax. Feel the ground supporting you. Let go, soften, and drop into that support. And again, feel into your body where you're comfortable. So notice what feels comfortable, what feels good. And that might be the same part of your body that felt good earlier, maybe has shifted. Tuning in, where do I feel good? Where do I feel relaxed? Where do I feel open, released? Keep softening with each exhalation. Find more ease, more comfort, more relaxation. And I'll share with you a small part of a much longer chant. And this particular section talks about the earth and how it brings us stability. And not just physical stability, but mental and emotional stability when we're connected to the earth and its frequency. When we're connected to the earth, we're more connected to our own selves, our own true nature, which allows us to be more connected with others. And through community and support, we're connected to creation, to love. All that is. Prithvi me sharire shrita Sharirakum hridaye Hridayam mani Ahamamrite Amritam Brahmani Prithvi me sharire Shrita Sharirakum hridaye Hridayam mani Ahamamrite Amritam Brahmani. If you're now feeling ready to start to bring a little more energy into your body, getting ready to move back into the everyday world. If you're ready, you can start to breathe a little more deeply, and if you're not, feel free to just stay where you are. Think of my voice as a lullaby, whatever works for you. You can also mute the recording if you're watching the recording, or mute the live. And if you're ready, start to breathe a little more deeply, start to add a bit of movement. Eventually moving and stretching in whatever way would feel most delicious to your body. And if you're ready to come back upright, you can roll to your side first and then make your way upright, and from there. So it's always my intention to leave you with something that's practical that you can use in your day-to-day life. So I encourage you, when you feel your sort of anxiety start to rise, try using one of these resources. So either really focus on what's connected to the ground and drop down into that support, or find that place of comfort in your body. And if not a place of comfort, just noticing the sensations is also a wonderful way of bringing your attention to the present. So bring your palms together, wherever you are. Bring your attention and intention back into your heart. And if it works for you, if it feels right for you, you might take these tools with you, these resources of grounding and felt sense, and use them to help calm or settle in times of stress. Namaste.